Welcome to sports, everybody. We're all here, except for JR, who's sick. Now the question is, we were having a discussion before we started, Ricky, Denise, Brett, about, everyone has that argument, like, is whatever a sport? Is it golfing? Is it bowling? But the question here is, what is the most sport?
I said rugby.
Why?
It's an aggressive sport. Like, I've attempted to play it once, and it's just.
Where were you when you attempted to play?
Park.
At work?
Was there like
At a park.
Was there
At a
like
park.
a pickup game of rugby?
No, like I wasn't familiar with the sport. And then
hey, Denise, we need one more.
one of the guys was like, it was like a co-ed thing, and one of the guys was like, oh, who doesn't know how to play rugby? So he decided to teach us. And honestly, it was a really cool thing because hindsight, after I watched it, I was like, all right, I was never gonna get it even with the instruction that he gave me.
Right.
Rugby's one of those things where when you watch it without knowing much about it, it looks like half of football.
It does.
It's football without passing.
But it's more aggressive. Like you depend a lot more
on your lateral abilities, I feel like.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And you don't have like as much padding that you do with football, so you feel everything twice as much. Kind of like flag football a little bit, but not to compare it. But flag football in the sense, hold on one second. In the sense that if you ever get into it in a flag football game, and you don't have padding, you're like, oh, you just have a little flag. People get very aggressive, and so they try to like give you a little snub here, a little push there, and you're over here dependent on these flags. Who are these flags gonna do? They're just gonna be flapping around. Some guys like tie them and stuff, so you're like doing the most to them.
I played flag football in like 5th grade, and there was like, we played against this, there's like all the schools were called Pinecrest. Like Valley Pinecrest, Sherman Oaks Pinecrest, and they were all so stacked. And some of the kids would freaking tie their flags.
Cheaters.
And you turn them
be like,
inside
who
out
tied his
and
flags? I can close my eyes and picture this one time. There was a kid, and I was the only thing between him and a touchdown. I can picture just totally whiffing on the flag.
All right, but let's get back.
Let's get back.
Let's get back to this. What do you guys qualify?
So I said rugby as.
But here's the thing. Let's even go a little bit further back. What do you qualify? What are your qualifications for a sport being a sport?
You said something before we went on where you said, I would take skill over physicality.
True.
Now, by my logic, the most sport would be the sport wherein you would not have to choose between skill and physicality because it has both skill and physicality.
Is it wrestling?
Which is why I say football.
Oh.
Now,
I said lacrosse.
Lacrosse is a good one too.
Let's start with football.
The most dangerous game, lacrosse. That's highlight.
Whenever the games are so rigged.
What is?
Highlight.
I wouldn't
Oh, the
know.
games are completely rigged. I remember when we were in Florida, you just see guys be like, oh yeah, the ball went past me.
Highlight
they're all in on it.
You could die because the ball's going 175 miles an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Golf, you could, I guess, die, but you're not going
You'd
to
have to get hit
enough.
like if John Daly hooks one into your face.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
So why football?
I like football because at the same time that
Now you
people are
came
getting
aggressive there.
Did I?
Oh, I like football.
I do.
Like, whoa, okay.
Calm down,
Bring
bro.
it on. Bring it on. Here we go.
You're right.
It's because it's in your DNA. That's why, right? Because you were raised on football. Your dad played for UCLA, so it's
That
like
makes
in your blood.
Yeah, it is in my blood, but then again, at the same time that people are crashing into each other.
Yeah.
In that like very rugby style where it's just like we got these big bodies that are getting thrown at each other, which is like a small war happening there, trench warfare. You also have skill positions where you have both physicality and
You have skill positions, but what causes the sport to stop completely? When you wrestle the other down and then everyone just freezes and they start over and they do it again.
You don't like that. You want the continuous motion, which would give you something like, is that what you're saying? You would prefer one that doesn't stop and start a new play?
I would say it depends on, and you guys are welcome to weigh in, by the way.
Definitely.
I think it depends on what you classify, what you want the qualifications to be. So like mine would be anything with a ball and skill over physicality. And although you're gonna be like, whoa, wait a second, when I give you this sport, I think the ultimate sport is boxing. Because it's not so much physicality, there's a mind game to it where you are trying to take your opponent out with mental warfare as much as you are with your punches.
Yes.
Wouldn't, by that logic then, wouldn't it be MMA? Because you have
MMA is totally
you have
in there
double
too.
the weapons as boxing.
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
the difference between
there's
MMA
your fists and knives.
Exactly. It's the grenades that get you.
boxing is more chess. They're both chess in a way, but boxing. Excuse me. MMA. Yeah, you brought up
3D
MMA.
chess. It's 3-dimensional.
Or you brought up MMA. Okay,
brought up MMA.
so here's the difference between MMA and football is that once you take somebody to the ground, it's a continuous thing of where, and there's so many little things that go into, let's just say a takedown or defending a takedown, where they're gonna put what leg and how they're gonna use their elbow in order for the other person not to do something. Like that's, I know, again, people are gonna be like, what the hell? It's beautiful in a way. The same way that I view boxing as a beautiful sport. It might be a little bloody at times, but it's beautiful. For football, all you're trying to do is take them down and then you stop. And I understand that there's a ball involved, cool. Points involved, great. Winner and loser, absolutely. But like with football, all you do is outmuscle someone, play stops. In the UFC, let's say, or Bellator, or just MMA as a whole for an umbrella for both of those organizations.
Don't you still outmuscle someone there though?
Don't you what?
Don't you still outmuscle? You have to outmuscle someone in every sport. I think that applies to almost every sport.
Almost every sport. Wait, so what was your question?
No, I'm saying because you said that football you have to outmuscle people and you're kind of
right. But I'm saying like, I guess I would view MMA more so of a sport than football because you don't stop after someone's taken down. It's continuous.
It seems like by your definition, the most sport would be MMA without round breaks. Because you do have, the round breaks are like the dead ball.
Yeah, but you need them. You need them in order for guys to rest because it's the longest round of any fighting sport that you could have, which is 5 minutes.
I don't agree. I think that's what makes MMA impure is it's still a good sport.
It's a necessity because you need the guys to.
I can't watch it because I'm either too gay or not gay enough to watch MMA. Like I'm not gay enough to enjoy these.
I'm
guys
laughing.
trying
Denise
to get
is like,
inside each
good
other,
point.
and I'm too gay because I can't.
can't.
I'm not gay enough. I'm not gay enough because I don't enjoy watching these guys like try to get inside each other with their bodies.
Come on, man. Now you're just shitting on the sport.
I'm just saying, but I'm not gay.
Take it back.
I'm too gay because I can't see it as like that pure fight. Like
It's
still,
yeah,
it always
it's one
looks
of those
a little
things
gay to
that
me.
until you do it, you don't see the technicality of it. Like figure skating. You know what I mean? Those figure skaters don't see
totally
themselves
straight
like
sport.
frilling out there. They see themselves doing a triple axel and nailing the 360 turn on it. Like it's a technical thing once you're engaged in it. You know what I mean?
I only watch figure skating to see them fall.
that's horrible.
No,
I
it's
don't
not.
like
You know
that
what's a
about
good-
it.
No, it's not.
Hold
It's
on.
not.
Can I say
It's not
something?
horrible at all.
No, that's like saying I like watching boxing to see people get knocked.
It's the same thing.
I feel like we've
That is
kind of changed
not the same
question.
thing.
I feel
That
like
is
we've
not
kind
the
of
same.
changed.
Yeah,
the
you're right.
question
You're
a
right.
little
The
bit.
most sport, team or individual. It seems like
They both fall under the sport umbrella. So do you want to separate
the
the
team
two?
element make it more sport than an individual?
Technically,
what I'm saying.
technically, the individual sports are team sports because you have a team around you who's coaching you either in between
No,
rounds
no,
or
No,
in
no,
between
I'll accept
points in
that.
tennis.
You have a coach. You have a
Technically.
corner. You have a ring coach and a corner coach. Yeah, I'll take that.
You just sounded so Canadian.
Here's
Coach, a coach.
So wait. So basically, sorry guys. So basically, the equation of what makes a sport is skill set plus physicality.
We're going over like
Yeah.
mine. We haven't gone over yours. I'm not saying mine is correct. I
Haven't
want to
gone
hear
over
everybody
mine.
else.
Haven't gone over mine
We're just
either.
going off of mine.
So I gave football, you gave boxing, your bullshit answer, and what's yours?
I switched mine from lacrosse, Jacory, you could have lacrosse, to water polo.
Okay.
Water polo.
Water polo. All right. Do tell.
Curveball.
Water polo because it's
That's a good one.
on top of you using a ball in the water, you're using every single muscle. You're propelling while you're underwater to stay afloat. I don't know why I can't even speak right now. But you're trying to stay afloat and you're using your upper body strength to grab this ball. Meanwhile, you're like gaining your balance and
full
then
body
you have
workout.
to like speed up and throw it out, and you have to make sure. And when you're playing defense, it's even more aggressive because water polo players know that everything underwater is legal, unfortunately, which means like, yeah, there's a lot of grabbing and pulling and harassing.
Were you
So-
Donald Trumping the opposition right there?
It's no. I've talked
It's aggressive.
to Olympic water polo players
Very aggressive.
who are like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna get thumbs in your butt, hands on your balls, grabbing balls underneath.
No.
Did you play water polo?
I played water polo.
Did you play water polo?
In school.
Did anybody play water polo?
I just said I played water polo in school.
Oh my
God. You just totally ignored me, by the way. Did everybody?
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Jacory was like really nodding. I thought he played.
No, so I played
high school.
I played in high school, and with girls, it's a little different. So there was no like thumb in the butt, that's for sure. But there was a lot of like nipple twisting.
Oh my God!
And there was a lot of like.
Wait, but why does that why does titty twisters qualify under like our definition of sport?
No, I'm not saying it. He's saying like what happened underwater or some of the experiences that happened underwater with female water polo players. And I'm sure it gets more than that. Some of my teammates, they would come out of the water with their swimsuits torn, and those water polo swimsuits are like sturdy, strong, ridiculously insane, crazy fabric because of the water and the chlorine. It like withstands everything. So to come out with a torn suit, someone was like pulling on you. There was like this big girl who was able to grasp, she was like a tank, God bless her. She was able to grab one ankle from one girl, another ankle from another girl, and stay afloat so that these girls would not swim.
Isn't that illegal? Technically,
it's underwater. She's doing.
No, I understand that, but like
it is illegal.
Players get sent off.
Underwater is legal.
Players get sent.
If the ref sees it, then
for like a penalty.
Yeah.
How long is the penalty? Like 30 seconds?
Yeah, it's nothing severe.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm coming around on this because of how like I can't tread water at all. Like it's hard in the ocean, which is like more buoyant. I can't even do that. The idea of, and then you see how in shape these people are.
These guys are so in shape, upper body and lower body. Absolutely insane.
There was a guy named Greg Crum who played on the Stanford water polo team.
He sounds like a Stanford water polo player.
You saw Greg Crum walk up. The guy, he looked like this. I can't even do it. He looked like this shape. His back was like this kind of
Larry David would call that a big vagina.
And I played basketball against this guy, and we were shirts, and he was skin. And this guy just like, I tried to go armbar, and it was like it went across like, you know, half of his back. Because this dude is just, he looked like Triton from Little Mermaid when he would just show up and it always looks like he's on a curtain of water.
What a description.
Like a wave behind him. Like,
there's so many, the workouts are insane.
Greg Crum.
I just remember his last name.
Yeah, huh.
Giant.
He must have really cleaned up the scraps.
Nope. It's a good job though. I did like your delivery, but the words made no sense.
Crum?
Anyway, water polo.
Wait, so what's yours? Water polo, boxing?
I've come around to water polo because all the things I was arguing for in football, it's that minus the breaks. And it adds something that you don't have in what people say is like the beautiful sport of soccer, which is, what is it called? Like that perpetual, like soccer, it's like don't use your hands.
Right.
What the, I don't know, the obstacle, the inherent obstacle, that thing that makes it a little harder than just being able to use everything at your disposal, because at the same time you have to be staying afloat.
Right.
It's a team sport.
Yep.
There is that sense of I will do anything to survive the way you have in MMA, because you will do anything to make sure this person, I mean, all the way down to like grabbing and twisting their
What's your pick?
no spots.
I'm sticking with MMA. With every sport that you just named, soccer and water polo less so, but there is somewhat of a break. Like, and once you're treading water every day, like treading water is the easiest part. Like it's when you have the ball that's a problem. It's when the defender's on you have a problem. But there's sometimes you can step away from the ball at play and like have a break. MMA, there's constant assault on your body no matter what. Like there is no break. There's somebody.
Do you think that has something to do with it being like you have an individual, like it's you can't rely on a team?
Yeah, there is no fallback. Yeah, there is no one else to carry that weight.
Totally. It's not like WWE where you can just tag in somebody like
off the top rope.
Ultimate Warrior. You know, like it'll never happen.
With MMA,
Huh?
MMA, both
Boxing.
of you.
But here's
boxing
one that we
MMA,
haven't
like
brought
a
up that's
fighter.
growing and like it's the fastest growing sport I believe in Europe, which is basketball.
Basketball.
Backgammon.
That's yours.
Basketball.
All right, come here, Craig. Come here.
Craig.
We don't have a microphone on you.
Speak into
his nipples.
Speak into here. I'm gonna mic you.
No. Let him speak in your nipples.
Craig, give it. Craig.
All right, so for basketball, it's like
Yeah, Craig. Go down so you could be in the one shot. There you go. Sharing is caring, boys.
Great.
All right, this is a disaster. All right, Craig, don't be nervous because you're very red right now.
So I say basketball because it's a sport. I don't do like the time stoppage isn't too much of a. I don't think that determines the sport for me. But in the ideal version of the game, there's not too many stoppages. There's not fouls. There's not. But it's a game that you can play by yourself or different amounts of people. It's not limited to like you have to have for all these other sports a set amount for baseball or water polo. And then
why does it make it so sport though? Like
because it's the purest form. You have to score over and over, and it's consistency. And not only is it strategy with how you play as a team, but it promotes individual like highlights and different like records and just promotes the individual while also like somebody can go and score 70 points and then their team still not win because their strategy wasn't there.
But don't you feel like the creativity aspect of basketball, for example, with all these players like hitting threes, I feel like, and I've talked to this with a few of my buddies, like I feel like there should be a limit to the threes because it kind of takes, for me personally, the fun away. Like you don't get
real quick. What do you mean by a limit?
Yeah, like there should be a limit. Like, yo, your team gets like an X amount of threes.
What? Get out of here,
no. Rock and Jock basketball used to have
the
4-point play or the 15-point play.
On MTV, Rock and Jock basketball used to bring in the 10-point basket like at a certain point in the game.
Right.
And it was like just over half court.
It was like 25. No, it was a 25-foot basket or something. But wait, what we're saying is like at certain points in the game, it would be like, all right, from 2 minutes to 5 minutes.
Because I personally like the creativity that it takes to drive in and to do whatever it takes to get beyond the opponent, as opposed to like just mastering the skill.
There are people who are team players. They can play multiple roles, or there are people who do specific things. They're just big guys in the paint, or they're shooters. There's just different ways to structure your team and go about it. But then in the end, it also comes down to physicality and endurance by the end of the game. So it brings in both.
So you're saying basketball has the most physicality?
Not the most physicality, although it has a lot. But like strategy affects the game more than anything. That's why like the Spurs are so consistent, like even when their stars are out, like they play the game a certain way that stumps.
That's good coaching, of course, as well.
Real quick, sport, I think that cancels out. In many sports, the approach, but
then just the different roles that you play. Like in football, you're assigned one role. You play a position. In basketball, you can play all positions if you're.
You have to because of defensive switching.
Yeah, and so it comes down to one-on-one play a lot of times. Or you can have a team that does more zone and like I don't know.
Okay, so you're talking about the different aspects of the game.
But that's what makes sport. It's pure like you have to get the ball into the hoop more times than your opponent. It's very simply structured.
Here's another thing. Like a lot of people, maybe not in America because it's so driven. Like America's driven by basketball. But what I've seen is if you talk to anybody who was not great at it, and I know that this could go for a lot of sports, but like for example in Europe, like they view how we view soccer, they view basketball, that it's just so hard because it's such a skill that you have to develop and either have, right? But
watching the volleyball players who didn't play basketball, we were like, because they also jump and have to be
right, and they're tall.
They watch someone make a 3-point shot and they're like, what the hell, you witch doctor?
Totally, like I understand your aspects of like coaching and switches and like anybody could play any position. I get that too, but it's very hard to shoot a basketball.
Oh yeah,
that is a skill that you have to develop over time. You're not just given that ability like running into somebody.
Also,
granted, you develop your body. That's still something that you can just do.
Physically, that's huge. Like people think like, oh, you can be a shooter and not be that strong, but to throw up 40 shots in a game, like
look at the Houston Rockets.
That is
like
that's
no,
it's not. That's exhausting.
Falls under MMA. Like every
I was thinking the same thing for water polo.
Yeah,
does physically
it's not wrong.
getting beat up determine that it's a sport?
Okay,
but that's the thing.
Yeah, you did good. You did great. Actually. You did annoyingly great, which is why I'm kicking you off.
Wait, you did annoyingly
threatening.
Great? Is that what you said?
It's annoyingly good. I'm sitting here. He just flies in. I did homework.
All right, I thought that was good. I thought it was healthy. Thoughts? Comment section below. Subscribe to TYT Sports.